We have had the beautiful readings in this beautiful occasion. And the first reading, which of course since Easter Sunday we have been following the Acts of the Apostles, and today is actually chapter 25. There's not much to talk about. We have been reflecting over it, and to see that the only chance left for the apostle is to be judged in Rome. Because actually he knows already, emotionally he has already expressed to show that his life definitely will be no more. And so when he says here that when the accuser stood up, they brought no charge in his case of such evils as I supposed, but they had certain points of dispute with him about their own superstition and about one, Jesus, who was dead, but whom Paul asserted to be alive. Being at a loss how to investigate these questions, I asked whether he wished to go to Jerusalem and be tried there regarding them. But when Paul had appealed to be kept in custody for the decision of the emperor, I commanded him to be held until I would send him to Caesar. So that was an appeal. It was an appeal of the apostle not to be judged by Festus, but actually to be judged by Caesar, who was Nero, who was the emperor of Rome, of the Romans. And so the issue is that Paul wants to be clear. The one to make a judgment should be someone who is competent. And therefore, he says, I appeal that I be judged in Rome and by Caesar. Of course, what awaits Paul is death. But actually, it occurs well in this assembly where we are very, very informed with all the education we have received, but especially that we have to go and implement and put this knowledge into practice. And actually, the world out there is looking for people well informed, ready to practice what they have been trained in and show that competence as Paul is asserting to, but rather in justice. I was listening last Tuesday in our house of an expose that was prepared by one of the graduates, will be graduates after being issued the beautiful papers they have been working for. And it was a beautiful expose. I admired it because it was really beautiful, and it was on an existentialist Kierkegaard. So in that expose, which is definitely beautiful, the conclusion was that we need to be subjects. And so therefore, we cannot be online all the time. And for us to make proper discernments about our lives, therefore, we have to be from time to time offline. I reminded the philosopher that for us evangelization is where the young people are, and the young people are online. So if you put them offline, so therefore you make us not to work at all. So implementation of that which we have been trained in should come out all the time. I was for 13 years as a principal of a technical college in Malawi, and I used to tell my students, when you just come, you are indifferent. When you finish your first year, you should tell me by the way you dress. If you are doing accountancy, show that you are doing accountancy by the way you dress. In the third year, if I see you with scruffy hair and all this, and yet you are about to graduate, you are supposed to be out. You not graduate, you graduate in my office. Why? Because you do not demonstrate what you have been trained in. And they knew, of course, when they see me coming on the other side, they would know that, oh, Father is coming. And I think if I'm not dressed well, I have to dress well. Love is very important in our lives. And today we read from John 21, in which Jesus asks Peter 3 times, Simon Peter, do you love me? So love is something that is very, very much misunderstood. And here we cannot even bring a debate on love because we will go astray. But whatever he asks here gives a lot of meaning. Because we are also looking at the history of Peter, where he has come from. We are in chapter 21. And you remember in chapter 18, he denies Jesus 3 times. So in chapter 18, verse 15 to 18 and 25 to 27, he denies Jesus. And when the cock crowed, then Peter realized, wow, that thing has happened. And he starts weeping. But then, what we have read today from verse 15 would be understood well if you start from verse 1. They have gone fishing. They have not caught anything. And Jesus appears. And nobody is alarmed at the presence of Jesus. They have caught nothing. These are fishermen. And Jesus tells them, oh no, please, could you change the nets from the left side to the right side? These are experienced professionals in fishing. And they did, and they caught a big haul of fish. And the gospel says 153 fish. Of course, as we preach sometimes, we say, no, there were 153 species in the lake. Perhaps that is not necessary. I think what Jesus wants to show, St. John wants to show, is that the catch was great. Finish. But it was great. Why? Because they had to listen. So, listening in some other languages, when they say listen, listen is equal to obedience. If you are speaking Chichewa and they say listen, you say Oduamva, Odumamva. And immediately they are telling, do you obey actually? It's not only listening from the ears, it is also listening with your heart. And here we get these disciples who are so experienced, they listen to Jesus, they cast the net on the other side of the boat, and they got a huge catch. So failure and pain are not supposed to be taken for granted. They help us to realize what we never even planned. I was talking to my brothers, the Salesians, those who are here, that when you read these writings of the servant of God, Fulton Sheen, he talks about pain in two ways. There's need pain and gift pain. But need pain is what we require all of us. If you go to other kind of studies, you find that pain actually starts from what we dress. We are standing in public here because we have satisfied that pain. Otherwise, some people had to spend more time on the mirror to make sure that the pain is gone. And when you come out, you say, wow, I've dressed well. Because you have satisfied that pain. Breathing, eating, drinking. This is a satisfaction of a certain kind of a pain within us. Look at this beautiful arena here, that all these tents we are passing here this week. We never saw these tents. Today we come, the gate is closed, and you see, wow, these guys who have prepared this have satisfied a certain pain aesthetics. And that is necessary. But you cannot remain in that pain, no way. You have to go further. And the other pain is gift pain. The gift pain is sacrifice, gift pain is love, gift pain is giving oneself, bringing unity. This is gift pain. And it is needed. Without that, you cannot go anywhere. Look at those, he gives this example of those two bandits, or robbers, or killers. Jesus is in the center, one on the left, one on the right. And what happens? The one on the left says, but you called yourself God and you helped all this. Help us. What was the meaning? He wants to be helped so that he is out of the cross and starts going, continues his duties of killing, stealing, and whatever, choosing between going up and down, and he chooses to go down. And the other one hearing on that says, don't you fear God? You and I, you and me, we have been judged justly. And immediately Jesus comes in. Today itself, you will be with me in paradise. Why? Because sometimes pain is wasted. Failure is wasted. Imagine if you have been studying for 3 years and you failed, and then you take that. Some people have taken their lives out of these things. And you take your life because of failure. Failure should give us another loop in life. So, this bandit on the other side is a failure. But he realizes his weakness and looks at Jesus and says, but this is the Son of God. And immediately says, today itself, from that failure, he gains. The same with his disciples. From the failure of catching fish, of being nobody, they listen, and that pain is satisfied because now they catch. And in the end, they're having breakfast. And this is when Jesus asks. So love is actually very comparative. That is why he's asking, do you love me more than this? It's comparative. So there will be no way that we will talk about love the same way. No. We can talk like this when we are religious, yes. But go into the families. Can a husband tell a wife that, my wife, I love you so much, but I'll love you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then I'll love you on Saturday and Sunday. Please spare me on Friday so that I go out and love others. Is that possible? Even when the wife knows my husband loves me, she will not allow that. Why? Because love is comparative. And when you love, what is the natural expectation? Love me in return. If I love you too much and you love you just a little bit, it will not work. The other one will move out and say, excuse me, don't waste my time. So, love is comparative. And so, do you love me more than this? It's not the fish. Do you love me more than this? No, it's not the fish. Do you love me more than these other disciples, apostles? The secret of transformation is to love yourself first, going in you, in yourself, and coming out with the truth of yourself. That's the secret of transformation. And in that way you identify the adultery that you worship, the empty love that you show, and then you will realize that the root of love is Christ himself. So therefore, when you go back to the prophet Hosea chapter 1, you read through it, you find that Hosea is the heartbreak of God's love. Because God loves Israel so much, but Israel does not love God at all. So he tells the prophet Hosea, go and marry a prostitute. Oma. It depends where you come from. From the French, they will say Omer. And then he had the first child, the firstborn, Jezreel, from the prostitute. Why? Because they have moved away from the love of God. That's why it's the heartbreak of God's love. And he has those three children. I will punish Jezreel, Lo-Ruhamah. I no longer feel pity on you, and Lo-Ami, you are not my people, and I am not your God. Finish, because you have moved away from me, because you have involved or you have gone to other gods. So what is Jesus looking for in Peter? He's giving him the power. He's giving him the authority. And yet, how I would wish if this university comes up with a study on authority. come up just with a kind of some modules on authority. Actually, the world has shown that there is not in any university where you find a course on authority. But we get a course on leadership, we get courses on management, we get courses, different courses, and we have even models, stewardship and all this. But there is nothing on authority. Completely nothing. You check from which universities that we know you will not find. They will talk about leadership. They will talk about management, even change management, but nothing on authority. And yet, what we do every day is to practice authority. Parents, what do they do in their homes? It's authority. And so, fact number one, most of us religious and clergy are persons in authority, in one way or another, and we will be in authority. I've been in authority already for many years. From ordination, I've been in authority. I was in charge of the school. I was the rector of the house. So all the time in authority. And perhaps it will continue like this for the next 10 years when I retire. And all the time we are in authority. Fact number two is sometimes our authority has impact, and it has impact on individuals and communities, for good or for bad. Because authority can build people up and help people grow all the way to sanctity, but it can also humiliate people and hate them badly. Fact number three is that despite the important role that authority plays in our lives, in the church, in the orders, congregations, there is hardly, as I said, any information on it, except a little bit about service of authority and obedience in the consecrated life and societies of apostolic life. Otherwise, there is nothing. And consequently, with so little reflection on and formation in authority, it should not come as a surprise to find that we sometimes become authoritarian and this and that. Why I am talking about authority is because of what Jesus says here, and I repeat, and I finish with it. Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these others do? Jesus. Simon said, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, take care of my lambs. The second time, Jesus said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes, Lord, he answered, you know that I love you. Jesus said to him, take care of my sheep. The third time, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was sad because Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? So he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, take care of my sheep. I've not finished. Why Peter is sad at the end? The first time, he says, yes, you know that I love you. The second, the same. The third, he said, was sad. You know, I said in the beginning that if we talked about love, we'll go very far and we may not even conclude. But the truth is this. The truth is this, that Jesus, of course there are scholars here, Jesus was speaking, could have been speaking in Aramaic, could have been speaking in the Jewish language, but also could have spoken, and the writer puts it in Greek. So I was reflecting and said, but why was Jesus repeating the same? Why was he repeating the same? I think it is so bad when somebody repeats the same thing and it appears as if you are not listening. So, and he says all those things. But in asking this, first of all, we have to go to chapter 18 and see that Jesus actually is nullifying the denial of Peter. He's nullifying the denial of Peter. That is number one. Number two, Jesus is asking Peter, Simon Peter, son of John, do you agape me? And Peter answers, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. Do you understand? Do you understand? Because the Greek way of looking at love is even in 4 ways. So Jesus is taking this conditional love towards Peter. Peter, do you love me? Peter says, yes, you know that I don't agape you, but he doesn't say, but I phileo you. He says, oh, I have not understood well. Then he asks the second time, Peter, do you love me? Peter responds, you know that I phileo you. Then Jesus the third time says, Simon Peter, son of John. And that is why Peter now starts crying. He's sad. Because how can the master phileo him instead of agapeing him? And so that is the power that is in Peter. Now he says, now what have I done? All this time he has been saying, do you agape me? Do you agape? Now he says, do you phileo me? And Peter now has to repeat because that's the only thing he could do. Yes, now he tells me, now you will be this and this. And that is the epilogue of John. If you go in Matthew chapter 16, you will see again Jesus asking, what do you say? And he says that. Then he gives him. Again, he shows great love towards Peter. I believe that in this assembly, with what we are doing today, and reflecting on these readings, especially John chapter 21, which is a great chapter that talks about authority and how Jesus gives himself. In chapter 10, he gives himself as a shepherd, and here he shows Peter also as a third shepherd. And all of us, disciples of Jesus, that's why he says, do you love me more than this? He's actually saying, he is giving us that power to be shepherds of one another. Shepherds that will take care of the flock, shepherds that will go ahead in building the kingdom. And I think all these ceremonies that we are going to do today in different ways are there also to give us this authority to take care. And authority itself, that's why we say augment. Oh, it is in order to make others grow. And Peter is being given that authority to make others grow, augment. Others move higher. Others realize their vocations. And I think we have got that experience in today's reflection to go out there and make others, those, especially those who are down, those who are perhaps in fear, demotivated, and with the authority that perhaps the university is giving us today, we go out and help others grow, stand up, others to be independent, and others to love God more. May God bless these words, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.